Melania, Donald Trump connection to her and timing of it is starting to come back into focus and not in a way that help him. It's beginning to resurface alongside the darkest part of his past. So let's unpack this and build a clear timeline. Donald Trump met Melania around the same period. He was closely associated with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. At that time, Trump was known to frequent a Manhattan hotspot called the Kit Kat Club. This was not just any club, it was known for hosting exclusive parties where wealthy New York elites and businessmen would together to meet very young models, many of them brought in from absent Europe. And it was in this world at these kinds of events that Trump's first encountered Melania. The contexts matter, and when you lay out the timeline, the overlap between these relationships starts to point a troubling picture. Melania, originally a model from Eastern Europe, came to the United States and attended high-profile parties where wealthy men would often mingle with young models, events that were common in elite Manhattan circle at that time. Now, years later, Russia is actively weaponizing her past. On Russian state television, they frequently air old nude photos of Melania as way to mock and undermine Donald Trump, using it as propaganda tool to ridicule the former president on global stage. They broadcast various photos of Melania, many of which are from her past modeling days. It's worth nothing that Melania has previously expressed pride in those nude photos, publicly stating that she was not ashamed of them and views them as part of her professional modeling career. Did you know that after Donald Trump met Melania, she received what known as an Einstein visa, a special visa typically reserved for individuals with extraordinary ability, allowing her to fast track to US citizenship. After becoming a citizen, she exposed her family members for criticizing through a process Trump himself has criticized as chain migration. Meanwhile, Trump has supported harsh immigration policies that disproportionately impact people for color, including proposal for detention center in remote areas like Everglades, referred to by critics as alligator Alcatraz. Now, let's examine the timeline more closely. What was Trump doing in 1997, just before he met Melania? That year, he was frequently seen partying with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, as reportedly by the London Sunday Mirror. How charming! Just week after divorcing his second wife Donald Trump, then 50-year-old and already one of America's most recognized billionaire, fell under the spell of a 20-year-old British model. This was in 1997 before met Melania. According to reporters, Trump had been unsuccessful in his attempt to hire Princess Diana, former butler Paul Beryl, and was apparently seeking a different kind of British prize. He met Anushka D, a London-based model, at Manhattan party. Several wealthy men had their eye on her, but she arrived that evening with Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was known for introducing her attractive friend to Trump. Trump, with the advantage of owning the opulent Mar-a-Lago estate, quickly stood out among the competition. After their initial meeting, Trump flew Galen referred to at the time as Madame Maxwell. The group of modeled to Florida for a weekend getaway. When they returned to New York, Anushka reportedly moved on into one of Trump's many apartments. That's the scenes in 1997. A mix of parties, Model and Maxwell. Around the same time, Trump was also regular at the Kit Kat Club, a Manhattan hotspot where wealthy elites mingled with young models often from Eastern Europe. It was at one of these parties that Trump would soon meet Melania. According to the New York Times, the introduction was made by Paolo Zempoli, a modeling agent who later became a Trump appointed ambassador and senior official. Here's how the New York Times described the moment. When Donald Trump met Melania, Paolo Zempoli was right there. According to the article, it was Zempoli who arranged for Melania visa to the United States and ultimately introduced her to Donald Trump at a party in 1998, the event that marked the beginning of their relationship. He hosted the event at the Kit Kat Club, where Zempoli parties were known for their extravagance, featuring everything from alligators and tigers cubs to models blowing kisses at fashion TV cameras. It was at one of these lavish parties that Donald Trump met Melania. From that night on, their relationship began to take shape. So let's explore what happened next. Melania arrived in the United States from Slovenia in 1996 to pursue modeling work. Around 2001, she secured a green card through what's known as extraordinary ability visa, commonly referred to as the Einstein visa, facilitated by Klaus Zempoli, who's run the modeling agency that she worked for. Zempoli later shifted from running a modeling agency to diving into a real estate, leverage his network of models as real estate agents to build his business empire. In a BBC interview from over 2 decades ago, Zempoli described how he launched his real estate company by turning models into agents. Here's play that clip.
The new issue of living with Mr. Trump on the cover.
Merging modeling and high-end property is the idea of Italian.
The magazine's cover story titles Living with Mr. Trump highlights the intersection of high-end real estate and modeling, a concept pioneered by Italian entrepreneur Paolo Zempoli, a close associate of Donald Trump. Zempoli explained that many of his top models transition into real estate, nothing that the two industries are not so different. Both acquire strong networking skill, he said. You essentially use the same Rolodex, just switch from booking gigs to selling properties. One of the women in the interview added, it's more appealing than acting because you meet a lot of people and it's more stable. Fast forwarding a bit, and Melania and Donald Trump were frequently seen socializing with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. You can also see this photo that Donald Trump and Melania Trump were socializing with Karen McDougal, the same woman Donald would later have an affair with shortly after Melania give birth to their son, Baron. Not long after that period, Melania successfully secured US citizenship for her family members. Melania Trump took advantage of a legal immigration pathway that her husband and his closest allies have frequently criticized as chain migration, the process by which US citizens can sponsor immediately family members to emigrate. Under US law since 1965, citizens are allowed to bring over minor children and parents with minimal wait time. Sponsoring adult children and siblings is still allowed, but those applications typically face longer delays. Melania received an expedited path to citizenship through an EB-1 Einstein visa, granted for individuals with extraordinary abilities. Shortly after meeting Donald Trump at the Kit Kat Club, once neutralized, she sponsored her parents to come to USA. As process, her husband has since tried to curtail. Melania has not exactly been a passive figure through all this. After Donald Trump was caught on tape boasting about sexually assaulting women, saying that because he was rich, they let you do it. Melania publicly defended him, dismissing his comments as mere locker room talk. Here's that moment.
He described it as locker room talk. To you, I mean, you sort of alluded to that as well. Is that what it is to you, just locker room talk?
When she asked about Donald Trump infamous remarks, caught on tape bringing about grabbing women without their consent, Melania defended him, downplaying the comments. It was just locker room talk, she said. It sounded like two teenage boys. Of course, they should behave better. The interviewer reminded her Trump was 59 at that time. She replied, correct. And sometime I say, have two boys and at home. My young son, my husband, she added, I know how some men talk, and that's how I saw it. Melania was not just a bystander in Trump's political rise. Either she actively fueled with birth conspiracy theories targeting President Obama, a false narrative that Trump's weaponized for years. Trump often deployed Melania to promote those attacks in public. Here's clip of that.
But what is this with the birth certificate obsession? Did he ask to see yours when you met him?
I needed to put mine anyway.
What's with the obsession over President Obama's birth certificate? Did Donald ask to see your when you meet him? Well, I had to provide many anyway. Melania replied, if you want to become an American citizen, you have to submit your birth certificate. I have mine from Slovenia. And regarding Obama's, do you want to see President Obama's birth certificate or not? She asked. I have seen it. It's not a birth certificate. The interviewer cleared its certificate of live birth, which is what Hawaii issue. Melania responded, well, in my opinion, that's different from birth certificate. If Trump, Obama would just show it, it would be so easy. It's not just Donald who want to see it. It's the American people, whether they voted for him or not. The interviewer pushed back again, but it's public. It's on display in Chicago. It's on the internet. Melania insisted, we feel it's different from the actual birth certificate. Well, maybe it's time to move on. The interviewer said, it's not Donald who keeps bringing it up. It's the media. Melania replied. Later, I had the chance to speak with Stephanie Winston, Vox, Melania's former top advisor and once close friend. She shared what happened behind the scene when Melania says Stormy Daniels feature in Voyage. Here's that clip.
Around the time when you released the best-selling book Melania and Me, there was that audio recording where Melania was
Around the time you realize your best-selling book Melania and Me, there was that infamous audio recording of Melania Fierce very Stormy Daniels being featured in Vogue. She was calling her a porn star hooker and venting to you about how embarrassing it was. She said something like, they are putting the porn hooker in the front. This is humiliating. It was clear the stormy situation had always been a source of shame for her. Then came to trial, where the testimony revealed things Donald had allegedly said about Melania to Stormy. The way Stormy Daniels connected herself in the court, poised, confident, and professional. She held her ground and become in a way kind of expected symbol of strength. Do you think that added to Melania's humiliation? Honestly, I do not think Melania experienced emotional torment, torment the way most people would, as blunt as the sound. I will never forget when she called me. She said, Anna Winter shot the porn hooker. I was confessed, and you can hear my genuine reaction in that recording. Melania was not upset about the affair and that the world was taking about Donald cheating on her. Her only concern was that Voyage dared to give Stormy a platform. That moment showed just how completely Melania compromised she not obvious. She knows who she married and he knows who he married. She is in the marriage for what it gives her, and that appeared to matter more than anything else. And speaking of public moments, who could forget when Melania delivered her speech at the Republican National Conversation, only for it to be revealed the large section were directly plagiarized from Michelle Obama at speech at Democrat National Convention side by side. It was almost word for word. Let's play the clip.
The values that you work hard for what you want in life. For what you want in life. That your word is your bond.
Melania Vance stood on the national stage delivering lines like, You work hard for what you want in life, that your words in your bond, that you do what you say you are going to do, that you treat people with dignity and respect, and that the only limit to the height of your achievement is the reach on your dream and your willingness to work for them. Of course, it turned out much of that speech was lifted almost word for word from Michelle Obama's earlier address. These days, Manalia's focus seems to have shifted. She is no longer in the political spotlight, but has clinged into crypto venture like launching her own meme coin which ended up crashing. It's more grief than public service at the point. Melania continues to cash in on her public persona. She even published a book titled Why I Stand Proudly Behind My Nude Modeling Work. She is frequently seen with her personal stylist, Harvey, Billy, who receives a staggering $18,000 a month. And here's the kicker, that salary is paid out of Donald Trump's Political Action Committee. In other words, Trump supporters, many of whom have been vocal about wanting the absent files released, only to be dismissed by Trump himself as stupid, are the ones funding Melania's high-end stylists. On top of that, she is reportedly pocketed at 1,50,000 $55,000 herself from the same PAC. She earned 1,55,000 for simply appearing at Trump's event, showing up, sitting down, and collecting a check. That's the gig. On top of that, she's also been marketing things like the Meta Rose, one of her personal brand venture. She's selling A digital photo, a Meta Rose for $150. Honestly, when Trump call his own supporters stupid, it's hard not to see the irony in people actually spending that kind of money on a random digital image. Meanwhile, the Russian model media continued to circulate Melania's old nude photos, the same modeling work she reportedly used to justify getting an Einstein visa. So that's the story of how Donald Trump met Melania at the Kit Kat Club. Right in the thick of all that, what's your take?